Hey everybody, we're Geeking Out Ninjas, and we're here to geek out. Craig, how you doing, my buddy?
I'm doing pretty good, Jeremiah. Doing pretty good.
Excuse me, I didn't clear my throat before I started.
How are you doing, Jeremiah?
I am fabulous,
Oh,
absolutely fabulous.
fabulous.
So, we have a pretty jam-packed episode,
We do.
and I want to say it's pretty heavy on fiber internet.
I guess you could say that.
We're going to talk a little bit about it, with the news and everything. But so let's pick up from last week. You signed up for Google Fiber, and they were supposed to come out, I believe, yesterday.
Yeah. So they did come out yesterday. So apparently this is a 3-step process. So just to fill in everybody on how this whole thing goes, if you're not aware. So one guy comes out a few days before, and he digs the trench.
Right.
So they trench a little bit of your yard from the street, from the curb where they have installed the fiber, to your house somewhere, depending on where they can place it. I think I've noticed, and this is only from sample size of 2, so uh, don't say that this is exactly how they do it every single time. But I feel like they put the fiber like directly in front of your house, like at the curb. It's either in front of your house or slightly to the right of your house. And I feel like most utilities uh, are usually on the opposite side of where Google puts their fiber. So, and like I said, this is a sample size of 2. Mine's literally in front of my house. They put the fiber splice point, I'm assuming is what it is, right where I have like tons and tons of rock in front of my yard, and it goes up like concrete and like all sorts of stuff. I'm like, man, I feel bad for this guy who's about to trench this. Like if they would have put it on the other side of the driveway, first of all, it would have gone right next to all the other equipment that I have, the CPS, saws, cable, all the other things that I have attached to my house would have been in the exact same place. No, they are on the complete opposite side where nothing else is. So it's kind of bizarre. They did this at my parents' house too, where they're on the opposite side of where everybody else is. And I'm wondering if they do that on purpose so that when they trench, they don't accidentally hit something else.
Oh.
This is just me theorizing, but it makes sense to me that that's why they would do that, because they do trench into your yard. And I don't know how deep the trench is. The guy said it has to be at least 4 inches deep.
Right.
So anyways, back to the story. I just thought that was kind of weird where they placed the fiber splice at the curb.
Well, let me interject. So when I lived in Cibolo and I had Guadalupe Valley Electric,
GVTC?
no, GVEC.
Oh, okay.
The utility, the electric utility, that's who had my fiber through.
Right.
Was the electric company. And they actually had they dug a trench, and it actually came in where the electricity came in.
Yeah.
They had this little like stand, I guess, where all the utilities came in, and that they ran the fiber splice there, and then they ran it to the house, which was just not. I think it was with everything else, so they did it a little bit different. But anyways, I remember that.
Yeah, I just thought it was kind of interesting where they're placing their fiber splice at the curb. So they dig a hole where the fiber splice is. They trench to where they're going to place it. Which he trenched it real quick. And when I went out there, like the trench, they use a ditch witch, and this thing didn't leave like a huge gash in the yard. Like after it rained, you could barely tell.
Oh wow!
That anything had ever happened in that space, which was fantastic. So I was kind of impressed about that.
What day was this?
I think they came on Saturday.
Just like a couple days after, 3 days after, whatever.
3 days before.
Well, after you signed up for it.
Yeah, I don't remember what day I signed up for it. It must have been like Tuesday of last week, right?
It was right. Yeah, it was.
Because we recorded on Wednesday.
Right.
Yeah. So it was a few days after. But yeah, I wasn't home though, and my gates are locked. So he he calls me, he sends me a text message, and he's like, "Hey, you have to go back to your room." God. Yeah. Go find mom. Close the door, please. The joy of having kids. I should have locked the door. I almost did.
It happens.
Aye. Anyways, so this guy, he runs the fiber, digs the trench, and leaves it at the house. A second guy comes and actually does the splicing. Someone who's a little more technical. Obviously, there's a fiber splicer I'm sure that they use for all the job installs. And so he came out, he spliced it at the street, and I didn't see this guy. My wife apparently said he must have come by on Monday morning. And then he puts the box on the wall. So the guy who ran the fiber just leaves the two ends of the fiber. I looked in the hole. There's just like a spool of fiber in the ground. And then there's just like a loop at the end of the pipe or the conduit next to the house. And then the next guy splices it all together. And then the third group, I guess it was two guys that came the second time to do the install. It was kind of funny. The guy came into the house and he was like, "All right, this is what the fiber, or this is what the boxes. Let me show you what the boxes look like." And I'm like, first of all, I mean, I already know what they look like. I've owned Google Wi-Fi devices. My parents have Google Wi-Fi, and my dad has Google Fiber. But I was just like, all right, what I'll let you do whatever you want. And so he showed me the boxes, like, all right, these are the Wi-Fi boxes, and this is the modem and all this stuff. And I'm like, okay. He was like, do you know where the fiber came in or comes to the house? And I was like, yeah, it's right here. He was like, okay, well, let me find a place for the modem to go on this side of the house. And I'm like, actually, let me show you what I have going on in my laundry room. Because I don't know if I've talked about this on the show or not. In my laundry room, I've got like a full network rack. So I've got a switch, router, all sorts of equipment in there, a NAS. It's all really high up, out of sight for the most part. And I was like, okay, so this is all my equipment, and this is where AT&T has their modem, and blah, blah, blah. Can you just kind of put your modem right next to theirs, and we'll be good? He was like, yeah, sure, we can do that. And
he's like, so what is this other stuff?
Yeah, exactly. What's all this other stuff? And so he's like, okay, well, I'm going to go get another guy to help me. He's outside and we're going to get started. And he's like, where's your attic? And I was like, it's right there. Luckily my attic is huge, like no problems getting from one side to the other, fully standing up. I swear they could have built a second story on this house. It's ridiculous how much extra space there is in the attic. But they get to the point where everything's hooked up, and he's like, okay, do you want to use your equipment, or do you want to just plug in the Google Wi-Fi? I'm like, let's just plug in the Google Wi-Fi. Let's just make sure everything works according to your standards. Like, I don't want to complicate things by setting my stuff up. So let's just get yours working and go from there. He's like, okay. He was like, we need to find a place to plug it in. I've got like tons of things plugged in up there. I got a UPS and like a PDU, which is essentially just a really fancy power strip for those who don't know what that is. And so he was like, okay, we need to plug in the modem. I'm like, okay, plug in the modem. And he's like, we also need to plug in the Google Wi-Fi. I'm like, oh, dang it. Like, I'm like trying to find things to unplug that are not crucial to what's going on in the house.
Right,
so,
right.
We can't turn on some lights in the house because I unplugged the Philips Hue box. But you know, it is what it is. I haven't switched over to the Google Fiber yet. I'm still on AT&T just because I haven't had time yet. But
sure.
So he goes outside. He's like, I'm gonna button up the box. I'm gonna tidy up the cable and all that stuff, and we'll come in and we'll set up the Google Wi-Fi and all that stuff. And I'm like, okay, well, I've got a break from work because I was working from home. And so I go in there get the Google Home app, set it all up, and he was like, all right. He comes back in after, I don't know, 5-10 minutes, and he's like, all right, we ready to set it up? I'm like, I already set it up.
It's already done.
He was like, okay, do you have any questions? I was like, nope. I was like, okay, we're good to go. So yeah, it went pretty quick. I mean, I was impressed with how, I guess, good they were at their job. I'm assuming these people have probably been doing it through the city of San Antonio for a while, and they've got it down. So I was impressed with that. I think it's good if you order this that you know where you want your equipment, or else they're just going to put it wherever they want to.
Right.
Which is a huge deal in my opinion, because I mean, they're just going to put it the closest place that they can. If I wouldn't have said anything, it probably would have been a hole directly through the outside wall to the inside wall, and they would have been done.
Yeah.
Which is not how I like things done. So I think it's good to have a strategy before someone comes to your house and installs fiber or anything else, really. Kind of have a plan for where you want it and tell them, hey, this is exactly where I want it. That way you can kind of be the boss and not just kind of be like, well, I don't know. And they're like, well, we're going to put there. And then you're like, and then it's too late when you finally speak up. So just a word to the wise on that. But yeah, I did some speed tests from the Google Home app, and I mean, I'm getting the speeds I'm expecting. So it's 900 megabits per second down, and high 800 megabits per second up. So
wow,
it's pretty on par with AT&T's fiber. I haven't done the speed test at the same time, and obviously there's nothing else on Google Wi-Fi right now.
Right.
But yeah, it's the speeds that I would expect. I'm curious if it'll change based on how many people are have Google Fiber installed in the neighborhood. That'll be the one thing I'll be curious about as time goes on. But yeah, so far so good.
Beautiful. Love it. I can't wait. They're working. They're not in my neighborhood, but they're around. They're around. So
I think that's a good sign that they'll probably show up pretty soon. I mean, if they're in there, I mean, the fiber's already laid in the area. They might as well just extend it to another neighborhood. So maybe once they're done with their current rollout, they'll switch to your neighborhood and so on and so forth. So maybe second half of the year or early next year.
I was thinking probably next year.
Yeah,
that's what I'm thinking. But
yeah.
So a little bit longer with my other company.
You'll survive.
I hope so. I don't
know. This podcast will survive with your internet, but I mean, you'll survive.
I'll survive. I don't have DSL speed. I mean, I'm faster than that, so I'm happy with that.
Wow, that would be awful.
Yeah, and I can kick my kids off. So when they're trying to use it, just knock them off. No big deal.
Daddy's on a video call. Get off.
Exactly. It's like back in the day when mom would pick up the phone while your modem's connected.
Get off the internet.
Those days.
About that.
That was great times.
Yeah.
Lovely, great times.
So some big news on the Jeremiah front.
So I've got a new position. I've got a new job.
Maybe related to the news that you announced last week, right? Or was it last week? Yeah. Where you passed your AWS.
Well, that was a few weeks ago when I passed it.
I know, but you talked about it last week, right?
Did I? Okay, sure. Oh, maybe so, because we were out for a few weeks.
Yeah.
So I passed it. And the certificate was issued on the 1st of June.
Nice.
So it's beautiful. And it's good for 2 years. And I got picked up, got a new opportunity to work for this company out of California. Pretty excited. So I'm kind of closing shop up at my current employer, who has been wonderful since the moment I started there. And even through this process, I was pretty open with them about what was going on and that this was going to lead to other opportunities. They were very supportive and fabulous company, great culture. Wonderful job that I've had. And so now I get to start a new journey with this company. They actually, like I said, they're out of California. I'll be working from home, and it's pretty good gig. And I will be working California hours or Pacific time.
Oh, you will? Okay.
Yeah, a little bit. They understand the time difference, so I don't necessarily have to be always on their time, but pretty close, and be available for the most part. So it's a pretty. I'm learning this week about the job. I'm actually getting a couple of hours a day in with them after hours, trying to get caught up because they are a consulting company that is consulting a very large education system in California, the California Community College.
Nice.
And so it's huge, and it's a pretty good opportunity. I don't want to get too much into what I'll be doing or anything. I did have to sign a NDA.
Did you really?
I did. I don't know what that's for yet, so I don't want to. I mean,
you're like, I didn't read it, but
I mean, I read it. I mean, so there is some proprietary software that they're using. Not
Sure.
that I want to get into those details, but anything really. Yeah. I mean, but it's a pretty cool opportunity. I'm actually creating a job. So.
Oh, really? So this is a job that didn't exist.
It didn't exist, and so being a consultant, what I've learned is what you're trying to do is create. We're going to create this position for someone from the state of California to eventually be hired to do, and then what they would do is take me from that project and put me on another one, hopefully, if they decide to keep me. So yeah, so we're creating. I mean, I'm not like creating something brand new, but this particular project that they're on doesn't have this position. So
gotcha.
It'll be pretty cool getting in and learning the system and being able to do what they need me to do and create videos and articles and a knowledge base about everything that we'll be doing. So pretty exciting. I don't start till Tuesday, but that'll be my first full day on the job. So next week I get to tell you what it's like working from home for a whole 2 days.
Yeah.
Pretty exciting.
Exciting. I'll be curious to see as time goes on how you adjust to California time.
I think I'm going to be okay. I get to sleep in a little bit.
Really?
Well, yeah.
That's true. It'll be later.
Yeah, it's a couple hours.
Yeah,
we're a couple hours ahead of them. So
that's right.
Yeah, not too bad. A lot of Zoom, a lot of Microsoft Teams.
Yeah,
video conferencing, but pretty cool, pretty exciting.
Yeah, should be fun.
It should be.
Congrats on the job, Jeremiah.
Thank you. Quite excited.
Splendid news. Speaking of news,
let's get into it.
Let's get into the news. Before I do, I just want to mention, so we're going to talk about obviously news. Jeremiah said we're going to talk about different internet providers and things like that in the news, as well as other things. And our main topic for the evening is space tourism, which seems appropriate since that's a big thing that's happening right now.
It's in the news. It's a hot topic.
The news. Yes, not the store hot topic,
which I like, by the way.
Is that still around?
Oh, it is.
Oh, okay.
It is.
I don't go to the malls, so I don't.
It is in the well. I don't. I've been to a mall in.
I've been to a mall.
I've been to a mall. It's been a while, but I think it's still there. No, they have one at the outdoor mall too.
Okay.
I think.
I'll take your word.
You know, I'm fashionable and hip with the kiddos, so
yeah,
I know about all this stuff. Yeah, obviously.
411.
They don't say that anymore, Craig.
No, I know. Every time someone says I'm hip with something, I automatically think of the dad from I think it's 10 Things I Hate About You with Heath Ledger.
Oh my gosh. That is like forever ago.
Yeah, he says, I'm done with the 411. That's the thing I pulled away from that movie, except for Heath Ledger. So
it looks like something went wrong.
You froze on my end for a minute, but I think we're good.
Okay. We were talking about that movie.
Yes, we were. So speaking of movies, Netflix, continuing on from last week, has confirmed it's working on games, but sadly, it will only be mobile games, which that
doesn't make sense.
Not really I don't know. Maybe they realize that people are already on their phones while they're watching everything on Netflix. So they're just like, maybe if we just do these two things at the same time, we'll be really engaging our audience with our program, since obviously the shows are not engaging enough for us to keep their attention.
Yeah, I was hoping for something a little bit more. Maybe this is kind of like a trick. Probably not.
I don't think
I
it's a
don't think
trick,
so.
because they announce this before their
Shareholders, right?
shareholders. Yeah, so I mean, they're obviously going to tell the shareholders everything because they want their stock to go up. Um, my guess is if they do move on to something else besides mobile games, it'll probably be a little bit down the line. It sounds like they're not ready to do any sort of streaming service, which is, I think, what kind of everybody thought they were going to do.
Right.
It just makes sense based on what their business is. This sounds like these will just be like downloadable games that you can play on your phone.
Or, maybe they're playing it safe and testing this out and then building it up. And then once they're ready, it'll be a big release. That way their stock doesn't do too much of an up and down kind of thing.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe, yeah, and then maybe mobile games don't take as long to develop, and so it's like it's easier for us to say, "Hey, we're going to do mobile games," and then 6 months later, a year later, they've got several mobile games out that are based on properties that they own, and then a year, or not a year, maybe 2 years, 3 years later, it's like, all right, we're now doing console PC size games because it took us 2 to 3 years to get these going.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, disappointing to hear that that's what they're doing. I think it would have been nice for them to do something else, but who knows?
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. And can I say, you know what? I'm going to shout out to some YouTubers out there because I love watching like YouTube videos of like the history of things and like history of Super Mario Brothers and other video games, Zelda. Um, it's just fascinating. And I don't know why I went to this subject, but I like Defunct Land. You ever watch their videos?
I don't think I don't think I have.
Yesterworld. It's good stuff. Shout out to them. They do a great job. They don't just do video games. They do a lot of stuff, but some good YouTubers there. History of video games. Love it.
Perfect.
Yeah, we're just talking.
We're talking about video games. It's related.
There you go. Just thought I'd throw it out there. All right. So let's talk about Chrome
On iOS.
and iOS. Okay, so I'll be honest. Like I read this article, and maybe because I read it too quick, I don't get it.
So, on your phone, you can open incognito tabs, right?
Sure. Yeah.
So in Chrome, obviously, it's got to be in Chrome. So if you can see, obviously I'm not sharing my phone screen, but there's an incognito. It's the hat with the glasses guy. And I don't have an iPhone, obviously. But once you open an incognito tab, which this is a blank one, you would then be able to lock it behind your Touch ID or Face ID or a passcode. That way no one can see what you're looking at in your incognito tab.
But why? Like no one.
Maybe so I don't know what you're looking at on your phone, but
Right.
maybe you hand your phone over to someone to, hey, look at these pictures or something, and as people do, they go rogue and start clicking other stuff, and then they open Chrome, and all of a sudden,
Oh.
they saw your basket
Okay.
weaving porn or something, and you're like, no, I'm not really that old. I don't like basket weaving porn.
Oh.
So
So in order to open the tab, you have to do the Face
verify your
ID.
face. Yeah.
Oh. Okay. Okay.
Maybe Jeremiah is into basket weaving porn.
I like basket weaving. Okay. Well, I just didn't. I was like, I read this like a couple of times. I was like, what am I going to do with this?
This information's not useful.
It
And
wasn't.
it's only for iOS. So
Yeah.
it is limited, but it is supposedly rolling out now.
Supposedly.
supposedly some people have updated and they haven't seen it yet. The way Google rolls things out is like a staged rollout. So they'll roll it out to a few people at a time, just to make sure that if there are bugs, it doesn't kill everybody at the same time. And then once they've verified it's good, they roll it out to the next group and the next group and the next group. That's just how Google does things. And so some people are delayed getting updates because of that, but it should be here probably within the next week or so. I think it's kind of cool. I don't, the usefulness is definitely limited, but why not have more options? So if you want to turn this on, you go to the settings menu this is in the Chrome
app
browser. Go to the settings menu, then tap privacy, then lock incognito tabs. So, it's there. They also added the ability to take full page screenshots of a website.
That's kind of cool.
So that's kind of nice. And the way to do that is once you have snapped a screenshot with the button combination specific to your device, tap the screenshot preview and then tap over to the full page tab that will appear.
Beautiful.
Let us know if that worked for you. I'm kind of curious.
And so
I don't take a lot of full screenshot.
I don't either. But so let's get clear on incognito tab though, because I want to make sure everybody understands. It doesn't make you invisible to the internet. It doesn't make you an anonymous outside of your network.
It's really just anonymous on your. So the way I like to think of it is it just doesn't save history.
Right. Yeah.
I normally use incognito windows, and this is for work, as if I need to open a different account for something so maybe I have my normal Google account, but I need to open a different Google account and I don't want to mess up the one I'm working with. I don't want to sign out of that one or whatever. I'll open an incognito window, just sign in real quick, and then I don't have to worry about all the mess and all that stuff. That's usually how I use it. Just so it doesn't have saved history and I don't have to worry about anything that's already open.
Right. Well, I don't use it just simply because, one, you really shouldn't be doing things on the internet to erase your history. But anyways, I like having my history, especially because I use different devices. I love the fact that I can go to any Chrome browser, sign in, and then I can pull up my phone history or the laptop or the desktop or whatever. And I love that feature because I think, I was searching for this or that. I can pull that tab over.
Oh yeah. I totally do that all the time I'll be, and so I have so many devices. Let me actually share my screen. This is a scary demonstration because I don't know. Actually, I can't do it with this browser. Let me open my other browser, my actual browser. Get real scary here. So let's do this window. Is this the right window? Do you see my Google page?
Yes.
Okay.
I love it.
So yeah, this is my normal. I'm super nervous. I'm like, what's gonna be on here?
Basket weaving.
Yeah, basket weaving porn. So in the Chrome desktop app, so the three dots up here, if you go to history, so you can go to just your recent ones from other devices, just go in here, but you can also go to history and then tabs from other devices.
Yes.
And then, so this is my work laptop that I'm signed into. This is my phone. This is my Chromebook. This is a different computer. And so from here, this is my work laptop, I can open this tab. I normally middle click. You can left click, right click, whatever you want to do. And then boom, gluten-free churros from my Chrome tab at work. So
we know what you do at work.
I found it at work because I opened an email, and I get emails from Instructable all the time, which if you're not subscribed, I definitely recommend checking out Instructable. They teach you all sorts of cool stuff, all the way from making gluten-free churros. All the
That is
instructions
it,
and directions to building furniture, building all
that
sorts of stuff. It's fantastic.
that should be an incognito tab
Gluten-free churros
at work.
at work.
I'm just
Yeah.
saying.
So, I mean,
But
it's cool to be able to pull this up just because I open it at work and it's like, I want to save that for later. I don't want to email
right.
myself or something like that. I can just pull it up
Yeah.
and we're good to go. So,
I agree. I used to really dislike having a bunch of tabs open in the beginning, but now it's just so useful to come to this website and then open up a new tab and do a search, or and not lose my place in all these devices. It's just, I think that's just what tech people do.
it's awesome.
Yeah.
So the next thing, something I'm actually pretty excited about. This mainly pertains to Android users because
Yay!
Apple doesn't seem to want to get in on this yet. I'll talk
Yet.
about that in a little bit. But Verizon is so T-Mobile switched to I guess I should actually explain what RCS is. So RCS is a new form of messaging from carriers and Google. It's they're rolling out encrypted messages for person to person, and then they're also working on rolling out encrypted messages for group messages. But what these let you do over like SMS or MMS is they let you send full-size pictures versus really compressed pictures.
Right.
It lets you do all the things that you would normally do in like iMessage, so you can
Mhm.
like people's messages. You just have a lot more flexibility to do things on your text messaging.
Like play pool.
I don't know if you could play pool, but so,
Uh,
so what's cool about this is T-Mobile added this last year. They made Android messages the default messaging app, and RCS is turned on for them. AT&T did this in June, where they said
mhm.
they're going to make Android messages their default messaging app and turn on RCS. And now Verizon is saying they're going to do it. They're not doing it until 2022, but they're making Android messages their default messaging app and turning on RCS as well. So no matter who you text message from an Android phone or to an Android phone, your communication is not at the moment, but is going to be encrypted person to person,
Right.
which I think is exciting. So that nobody on the carriers, nobody in the government, nobody can look at these encrypted messages because it doesn't touch a server. It literally goes from device to device. And so there can be no man in the middle interception or anything like that. So um, obviously the benefit is more than just encrypted messaging. It's a better messaging experience. It lets you know when someone's read your message. You can do better group chats, so you're not getting like weird people where it's like some people have MMS turned on and some people don't, and so
Right.
you get like a bunch of text messages from someone, and you'll get a group message from someone. It's
I
kind of
don't text those people.
it's kind of janky, yeah. So this kind of gets rid of all that stuff. This makes it like a real messaging app, like other messaging apps.
Mhm.
Um, I like that this will be the default for everybody. You don't have to download another messaging app. You can kind of just use this. It's like, okay, it's got all the things that I want. Plus, it's got encrypted messages and all that kind of thing. This really is the future. It's taken a long time to get to this point where all the carriers have agreed, hey, we're going to do this.
Right.
I think Google in the end has essentially paid all the carriers to be like, hey, like, can we just like make this happen for everybody? Like this should be a thing. Um, and the head of Android and Chrome and all those things, um, I forgot his first name. His last name's Lockheimer.
Hiroshi.
Hiroshi Lockheimer uh, is essentially saying it's really up to Apple at this point if they want to become part of RCS.
Right.
And to me, it seems like Apple would want to be. Now that all the carriers are saying, hey, we're going to do this, we're going to support this, there's no reason for Apple to drag their feet other than they just want you locked into iMessage, which I could see the appeal there because they want more people to buy iPhones. But what would be great about this is now if you're texting someone on an Android phone, if you're on an iPhone, and Apple actually supported RCS, even if you defaulted to not iMessage, you're still getting an encrypted message from person to person, which will be a huge deal. I know people are worried about privacy. Just look at all the weird people who think the vaccine gives you microchips. Little do they know your phone is actually tracking you.
Yes. Well, and Apple's pretty big about privacy.
They are really big, and I'm hoping that because of that and the fact that all the carriers are going to support this, they'll be like, you know what? Next year, this will be an iOS 16 or whatever version will come out in 2022. Fingers crossed. I think that would be the smart move for them, and it would benefit everybody. So,
yeah,
which doesn't seem like an Apple thing to do, but we'll see how it goes.
So I want to share something with text messages. So being married, love it. It's great. We have a trust. We've been married over 20 years, right? So my wife looks at my phone, whatever, or she doesn't care, we trust each other, whatever. But I will say, I am not an emoji texter. I don't really use emojis all that much. I will occasionally, but it's usually a smiley face or a winky face. Yeah. But if I have texted her other emojis at some points. And what I would warn you,
eggplant.
What I would warn you is that and you know this, but I mean everybody out there, even if you only use it once, it will save it in your recently used emojis, especially for those that don't use emojis all that much, because and she knows I don't text that, but whatever. But she makes fun of that, like, oh, that's one of your recent emojis. You need to, who are you texting? Blah, blah, blah. So, and that's the thing. I can't even text that to her now because she'll think, oh, he's texting someone else. So that's just just a hey, what's out there. A heads up to everybody that, even if you're joking, people look in your recently used emojis.
People will look. And it won't be so private.
Yeah. So, she doesn't know what all the emojis mean. So she knows.
It could be for the best. Could be for the best.
It is for the best because I have texted her things and she doesn't pay any attention. I'll ask her about it later. She's like, what does that mean? I'm not going to tell you.
Let me show you in the bedroom.
Hey. It's a family podcast here.
Sort of. Don't want to freak your kids out if they're listening.
Yeah, sorry. So just any emoji.
Any emoji. The smile, the winky face, really.
The winky face. I love the upside down smiley face. But let's move on. Please. We don't need to talk about emojis anymore. Okay. This is a big one.
Yeah.
Oh, we'll just move down the line, I think, because I know you're really passionate about this.
I am.
I am too. I'm not as informed as you are about it.
Yeah,
I will say. But we tend to agree on this 100%. And I'll be honest, when I looked at the article the first time, this is me. I was just trying to catch up, right? I misread the articles all night. I thought it said IRS spent $235 million on lobbying, and I thought, why would he pick this article?
This doesn't seem like it's tech related at all.
We don't talk about the IRS, but it's ISPs.
Yes, which stands for Internet Service Providers.
Right.
Yeah, and trade groups.
Yes.
So Common Cause is a organization that I guess looks into this kind of thing to free the information for the public. I found out that internet service providers spent $235 million on lobbying and donations in the years 2019 and 2020. So those 2 years combined, $234.7 million, which comes out to more than $320,000 a day.
That is crazy.
And you want to know why every time I talk about the internet on this podcast, I'm always like, you have no choices. I'm fortunate to have 2 choices of fiber at my house. This is why you don't have choices at your house, because they don't want competition, and they're lobbying politicians, and they're donating to their, whatever campaigns to not get you internet because they want a monopoly in your area.
Hundreds of thousands of dollars a day.
Yeah. More than $250,000 a day.
A day. That is ridiculous.
Yeah. And guess who was the number 1 company for lobbying in those 2 years? Everybody's favorite internet service provider.
Oh, I know it's not, but I would say AT&T, but it's Comcast.
Comcast. Yeah.
Is the number 1. AT&T second.
AT&T is second. But yeah, Comcast, $43 million over those 2 years. That's insane. $21 million a year. Like, what the heck?
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
So I'll go down the list. So Comcast with 43 million, AT&T 36 million, NCTA, which is actually a cable group that represents several different cable providers. They spent 31.5 million. The CTIA, this is a wireless group that, represents a bunch of different ones like US Telecom, AT&T, Verizon, Sprint, T-Mobile, all those. They spent $25 million. Verizon spent almost $25 million. Charter Communications, what's actually owns Sprint, not Sprint, Spectrum. Sorry. They own Spectrum, and I think there's another one that they're still branded under. That's $24.5 million. T-Mobile spent $21.5 million. And I think a lot of that was because they wanted the T-Mobile Sprint merger to happen. And so they spent a lot of extra money. CenturyLink or Lumen spent $7 million. It drastically drops from that $21 million from here on out.
Yeah.
SpaceX spent almost $6 million.
Now they're the ones that for Starlink.
Yeah, for Starlink. And, they're trying to get that off the ground. So they're trying to get approval from the FAA and the FCC and all these other groups. So I would imagine that's probably a big reason why they did the lobbying that they did. Sprint was at $5 million. That was before the T-Mobile merger.
So in essence, them, and if you count them together, that's like 26 million. Sprint and T-Mobile. I mean,
yeah,
essentially,
almost $27 million. And satellite providers kind of go below that. $234.5 million combined, though. Honestly, every time I've talked about how bad our internet is in this country, now you know exactly why it's as bad as it is. They don't want competition. They don't even want to compete with each other. They don't normally cannibalize each other's territories. So they kind of have set territories. It's like, all right, Comcast is in the Northwest and in the Northeast, blah, blah, blah. Verizon or Spectrum is usually kind of the southeast to Midwest, I guess is what you would say. I don't know all the different areas, but every single one of those, there's barely any overlap between cable companies. There's barely any overlap between fiber providers. They just don't want to compete with each other, and they don't want to compete with anybody else, which is why they lobby. And this is why we have terrible choices. And this is not a partisan issue. This is a bipartisan problem. 77% of Republicans. That's a different thing. But everybody's getting paid.
Both sides.
It's not just, it's both sides. They're all getting paid, and they're trying to keep municipalities, so cities and other things, from providing their own internet for a long time. Certain states were trying to make it illegal for certain cities to build their own fiber networks in the state. And it's like, do you want to I think Ohio was the most recent one. They were trying to make it illegal for cities to build fiber out to their citizens. Yeah. I'm like, why would you not want your citizens to have fiber and good internet? But it's because they're being lobbied and being paid by these ISPs. It's like, why? They don't care. They're getting good internet. I mean, they live in the good part of town, or they can pay for Verizon to drop a fiber line to their house. Like, not a big deal. So they don't care one way or another. Or it's like, all right, well, you'll pay us and you'll give us fiber. Yeah, totally cool. I mean, I don't care about my constituents, whatever.
Yeah.
This has had a profound effect on U.S. ISP policies. And I think the more this information gets out, the more likely it is for us to actually curb some of this. I think lobbying and political donations should be outlawed completely. That's just my political views. I think they don't really do any benefit to normal citizens.
No.
And so I think the more this information comes out, hopefully the more it will become apparent that that's the reason why it's you're not getting internet, and there'll be a huge outcry because of it, and something will be done about it, which kind of leads into two other stories that we can talk about, but we'll leave a little gap. Do you have anything to say about this story, Jeremiah?
I again, it's just the amount of money that's flowing through this is incredibly, it's unfathomable to me.
Yeah.
And there's the amount of, I mean, half this money could have gone to providing internet, especially because of the pandemic. Getting people access to the internet, not just for Netflix, but I mean, like, for education, for their jobs. I mean,
their kids going to random places to get internet so they could do schoolwork during the pandemic.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell?
Well, how many kids just didn't do it at all?
Oh, because they couldn't. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mom or dad, or single mom or single dad couldn't do that because they work one or two jobs or whatever. And so the kid's sitting at home and he's not learning. And now that kid's falling behind, and, it's a lot harder for them to actually get a good job and do all these things. So the digital divide is real, and it's because of these companies that the digital divide is so bad.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, they should be ashamed of themselves.
Oh, without a doubt.
For being this greedy, and not thinking about all the people that could be helped by having internet service. Internet should be a utility at this point. It should be the same as your power, your water. I mean, it's the same thing at this point. Everybody needs access to that resource to have a chance to succeed in this time that we live in.
Yeah. It's crazy.
And it's disgraceful.
Mm-hmm. And you got to think, like, they're willing to spend these tens of millions of dollars. Like, that's not their money. Like, they have so much money coming in that they can pay the executives and whatever, that this is just kind of like, hey, we're going to throw this to get our way. It's not even.
It's chump change. Just think of how much those executives and CEOs are making and all that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy. It's crazy. So let's flip this. Let's skip an article, or let's talk about somebody that's doing something about it. Can we do that?
Yeah, we can go to the next two.
So go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, I just like the article we have here about Virginia willing to invest $700 million to bring broadband to every household in the state
by 2024.
Yeah, that's a leader there.
Yeah, exactly. Virginia is not the state that I would think would be one of the ones that's kind of in the forefront of this, but they are using the money that they got from the American Rescue Plan, which was, I think, one of Biden's I don't want to misspeak. I don't know if it was Biden's or Trump's. Let me do a quick Google search here. It was Joe Biden.
Joe Biden, the American Rescue Plan.
Yeah, so it was the one that they passed in January, February.
Yeah.
And so they're using the money that they got for their state to provide universal broadband connectivity by 2024. This actually, so apparently they had this plan in place for a while, and they wanted to provide every household high-speed broadband. This just shaves off 4 years so they can spend more money quicker instead of having to budget the money over the next like 8 years or 7 years. They can do it all in 3 years. So this kind of just super speeds everything. So this is exactly what I've kind of been talking about. Like they haven't figured out the plan that they want to do, and they're gonna do a special session on August 2nd to start kind of figuring out how they want to spend the funds and how they want to put this forward. But I think just having everybody in agreement, it's like, this is the way we're going to spend this money to make sure that all of our citizens can succeed in this economy and that nobody gets left behind. That to me is the important part, is that they are making sure it's every single household.
Right.
That's the huge part. Because they know they already know that they have 233,000 homes and businesses in Virginia that don't have broadband access. The fact that they know that, I think, is huge, because I would imagine most states probably don't have an idea of what citizens don't have access to broadband. So the fact that they're starting from that place where they already know that information gives them a leg up on making sure that they can actually accomplish this with the money that they have.
Well, and the other good thing is that they're wanting to point out too that 25 megabits per second download is really not broadband.
Yeah, 25 down and 3 up, which is what at currently the FCC says is broadband internet connectivity, but that hasn't been changed since Tom Wheeler, who was the head of the FCC back when Obama was president. It hasn't been changed since then. Obviously, Ajit Pai, who was the head of the FCC while Trump was in. I know all these names because this is stuff that I follow. I'm crazy passionate about this. He did everything in his power to make sure that nothing like this would happen. Ajit Pai, to me, is just like a terrible person. And so, yeah, it's fantastic that they're like, you know what, this 25 down, 3 up, it's not good enough for our citizens.
No.
We're going to make sure that it's much faster for everybody. And we'll see what kind of money or what kind of service that they provide. But it's nice to know that they're going to do something that's better than quote unquote broadband.
Yeah. Yeah. Kudos to Virginia.
Yeah. So this actually ties into the other story. So it's funny. I think I read these stories back-to-back days, and I was like, "Holy moly! Like, finally, some progress with the internet." California is also doing something very similar. Theirs is not as ambitious as Virginia's. So they're
right.
The way Virginia makes it seem is like they're going to make sure that every single citizen is going to get internet. California's, they're spending $2 billion. Obviously, their state is a lot bigger and they have mountains and stuff, so it's going to be a lot more difficult to lay fiber. But they want to lay fiber, and have a fiber network build out to what they call the middle mile. And what that essentially will do is provide fiber to close to neighborhoods. And then it will be up to different ISPs, whether it's, AT&T, Verizon, or a city, if they want to. A city can provide this. And it's up to them to provide that last mile to get it to your house. So I think having that backbone is usually one of the hardest parts.
Right.
And getting it close enough to neighborhoods where it makes sense financially for ISPs to do this. So them kind of filling that gap that's there right now is going to be huge. They're spending $2 billion, I believe.
Right.
Oh, wait. Never mind. $6 billion. So they're spending $6 billion to build that middle mile network. And then they're providing
2 billion.
Yeah, it's kind of, yeah, 2 billion. Sorry, it's 6 billion total. Man,
right. It's a lot. It's a lot.
I read this a few days ago. So the numbers are a little mixed up. But yeah, so $3.25 billion to build the middle mile network, $2 billion to build the last mile network. And that $2 billion is actually going to be auctioned off essentially. So they're going to have different ISPs submit plans to provide internet service to different parts of California. And I believe they're actually prioritizing areas that don't have internet. So I think that'll be the first places that they approve, places that don't have internet, which I think is good. It's like, why just overbuild in certain places that already have it? But yeah, so an extra 2 billion just to essentially give to different ISPs to build the networks out. So that's going to be huge. I think you could see new ISPs in California because of that.
Yes.
Even if it's just like a city that's like, all right, we're gonna do our own fiber for this community because this is what we need to do, because a lot of ISPs won't provide internet for rural communities because it just doesn't make sense financially for them. But they are hoping that all applications are submitted by June 30th, 2023. And I think they're hoping to have the middle mile broadband network finished completion by January 1st, 2024. So until they finish that middle mile broadband network, they can't build out the last mile. So it's going to be a while for them to do this. My guess is it'll probably be not until 2030 until they're finished. It's just a guess. I could be wrong.
Right.
Maybe before then. So I mean, that's another step in the right direction. I mean,
Exactly.
the more states do this kind of thing, the better off their population is going to be. And I think those states are going to have a leg up on other parts of the country.
100%.
Attracting businesses, getting people to stay there. Just why not want your citizens to succeed in the economy?
Yeah, you don't need them evacuating
Yeah,
to other states. Yeah.
So awesome to see at least 2 states doing the right thing, making sure that their citizens have good internet.
100%. Awesome. Do you want to move on?
Yeah, you're probably not as familiar with this either.
No.
So Android TV is adding a couple new features, or a few new features. And the reason I bring this up, so I have Android TV, I have Google TV. They're slightly different, but slightly the same. So Google TV already has these features, but they're adding it to Android TV. And this would be devices such as that
little box.
Well, the Walmart On device that we talked about a few weeks, that's like $30. So I mean, you can get this for like next to nothing. So one of the features they're adding is wish list or watch list. And I really like this feature for my Google TV. I'm looking forward to seeing it on Android TV. So you'll be able to go to the Discover tab, and if you see something on there that you want to watch, you can long press on that image that's on there, and you can add it to your watch list.
Yes.
So you can make sure you don't forget to watch, I want to watch Crazy Rich Asians for the 5th time or whatever. But the other cool thing about this, let me show you the other benefit to this. So I'm going to share my screen again.
Show me the other benefit, because I've got to talk about this.
So say you hear about a movie and you're like, oh man, I really want to see that movie. And you completely forget about it. You don't see it in the movie theater, and it eventually shows up on home movie. But even before you do that, you're excited about it. You're like, I'm going to go watch the trailer. Let's watch the trailer on YouTube. The next thing you can do is every Google search you do, and this has to be a Google search, obviously, because it's through Google.
It's Google, yeah.
On the right-hand side, when you search a movie, it has information about that movie. You can actually click watch list. So if you click watch list, it will then add it to your Android TV's watch list, and it'll show up in your list of things you want to watch later under this Discover tab. To me, that's like huge. It's like there are some things I hear about and then I completely forget about, and I finally like remember it like 2 years later. It's like, oh yeah, I did want to see that, and it's like,
yes,
I could have seen this a long time ago if this existed.
So this is going to be awesome. So I have a family member. I have several, but one in particular that is very technically challenged. Very technically challenged.
Okay.
And this person purchased an Android TV, the little on box.
Okay.
Are
you talking about yourself, Jeremiah?
No.
I'm just kidding.
No, I'm not. I'm trying to be as neutral as possible.
I hear you. I see what you're doing.
So this person really has a tough time with any kind of device. So I am trying to teach this person how to use their Android TV. In fact, I have to make a visit tomorrow or the next day or whatever day it is, whatever, to go over it again, because what happens is, unfortunately, they talk to other people that don't know what they're doing.
Oh, of course.
And then they tell them, well, you need to do this or that, or this is why it isn't working, or whatever. And so they listen to them, and then I give a certain set of instructions, and then that goes away because, well, I tried this because so-and-so said that, And you're like, oh, no,
Why?
Don't listen to them. Don't talk to them.
Yeah.
Especially and some of it came from their ISP. They called their support line because,
oh yeah.
And then they're like, well, blah, blah, blah. It's like, that person is reading a script. And when you ask something that's outside the script, they're just going to tell you whatever pops in their head. They don't have a clue.
Yep.
So, yes, I will be using this to show. I don't know that I'll use the Google portion where you can save to your watch list there, but using the Discover tab, I think will help this person navigate.
Yes. So back to the watch list. So on your phone, if you download the Google TV app.
Yes.
If you can see this. So if you click on a movie, say I want to watch Captain Marvel, there's also a add to watch list here.
Look at that.
So if you click there, boom. Now it's gorgeous. Now it's going to show up on the TV, and you can watch it on there as well.
I think we talked about this, didn't we?
We may have
something similar
once before.
Something similar, because I haven't used the app, and I said I would.
Yeah, the app is pretty handy. It helps you watch things. The other thing that's great about the app is you sign into all the different services that you're subscribed to, and it'll tell you what you can watch based on those, as well as it'll surface movies from those services for you based on your likes and dislikes.
Right.
Speaking of likes and dislikes, they've added another feature that's kind of like Tinder for movies and TV. That's how it was described in the article, so I'm just going with it. So also under this Discover tab, you'll be able to filter your recommendations. So maybe the movies or TV shows that they're recommending, you're like this doesn't make sense for me. Why are they recommending this? You can actually go and improve your recommendations. They made it kind of hard to find. You got to go to settings, device preferences, home screen, content preferences to access the improve recommendations card, which is, I feel like there should just be like a button on the Discover tab, like improve recommendations. But it'll give you like an image of a movie or TV show, and you just click left or right on your control, and then right is more like this, left is less like this. So just fine tunes the things that you want to watch.
Yes.
So to me, those are the two biggest things. And then when you click on an item, a movie or a TV show, you can now, I think, watch it, the trailer will play automatically as soon as you open the page. So making it a little bit easier to find out, kind of like the way Netflix does it.
Right. Is this something that's going to interest me or
Yeah.
waste my time?
So yeah,
Awesome.
that's all I've got with the news.
Awesome. Well, let's talk about our big main topic, space tourism.
Space tourism.
So recently, a billionaire,
2 billionaires.
well, okay, 2 billionaires, traveled to space. Well, yeah, and came back
That's a whole thing.
pretty much. So this is why it's in the news. They were able to spend their money or their pocket change
Yeah.
to ride in a craft that took them up to a certain. I mean, was it really space?
So if you talk to Bezos would say that Virgin Galactic did not make it to space because they didn't pass, I think, what's called the Kármán line, which is a certain height up in above, I don't know, in the stratosphere. The Kármán line is an attempt to define a boundary between Earth's atmosphere and outer space. It was defined to be 100 kilometers above Earth's mean sea level. It was established in the 60s by the Fédération Aéronautique Internationale, an international record-keeping body for aeronautics. So Bezos was like, well, I mean, they're not really going into space because they're not passing the Kármán line. So that was his dig at Richard Branson and Virgin Galactic.
Virgin, yeah. I don't know. Like,
They were both so close to each other. Like, who cares? Like, we'll call them both space.
Right. So the reason I liked and I want to talk about this is like, so would you do it? Have we had this discussion? Have we talked about going to space? I think we have, but I like that discussion.
I would totally go to space. But here's the problem with space tourism right now. We're never going to space.
No.
The only way we go to space is if we commit to go to like Mars and work on Mars. And it's like, all right, we're not going to charge you to go, but you're going to be there and you're going to work on Mars. That's the only way we are going to space. Billionaires, millionaires, those are the people who are going to space. This is a very select club. I feel like it's almost more select than NASA.
Right.
NASA, you don't have to be rich to go to space. Obviously, you have to be an astronaut. And you have to pass a certain criteria to become an astronaut. You actually have to be smart.
What? That rolls me out.
Unlike some of the people that were on these other flights. And you have to train for it. These people didn't have to train to go to space.
And then but see, and that's what I didn't really go to space.
It depends on your definition of space. The definition that is given by the scientific community, yes, they went to space. Is it what you think of space when you think of space? No.
No.
It's not that. It's not where the satellites are. It's not where the International Space Station is. It's not where any of the Apollo missions went. Like it's not space in the way normal people think about space.
No, and it's like
it is weightlessness, though.
Yeah, but how long were they there?
The pull of Earth's gravity has left that part of the atmosphere.
Just a complete waste of money. Again, yeah. We're on that topic tonight already with lobbyists, which I know they're big lobbyists too. So
yeah,
I just like. I mean, they have more money than they know what to do with. And I get it. And what? You earn your money however you earn it and you can spend it. But I'm just like, that's just like, I don't know. That's just hard for me to kind of
Yeah, to me, it's very different than what all of the other um, rockets and things are doing
Right.
right now, where they're putting up scientific instruments, all these different satellites into space, where we're usually, as humans, we're getting something out of it. Like
Hmm.
even SpaceX sending astronauts to the space station.
Yeah.
I mean, they're doing scientific experiments on the space station. They're learning about tons of stuff. We've had amazing breakthroughs in science and technology from going to space and from the space station. Um, I mean, that makes more sense to spend money on that kind of thing where they're actually getting to bring something back to society.
Right.
This is really just, in my opinion, a bunch of billionaires, multimillionaires getting their rocks off, going up really high and saying, "I went to space."
Yeah.
For like 4 minutes. Like, meh. I
Yeah.
mean, I don't think I would do this. I mean, even if I have the money, I don't know if I would spend the money on this just because it's like,
Right.
what's the point?
Yeah.
You're not really, you're not really doing anything.
No, no, you're
Like,
going up and coming back down.
yeah, right away.
Yeah.
Literally the Blue Origin, Bezos's company, was in quote unquote space for 4 minutes. Um, I think Virgin Galactic's may have even been less than that. I don't remember their exact time. Although I will give them credit, as little time as they spent in space, they actually did some experiments on the Virgin Galactic space plane, is what I'll call it. Um, so I'll give them a little bit more credit than Bezos, who was essentially just like, uh, I don't know. I didn't watch most of their broadcast, but it was essentially just like a infomercial for Origin to like
Right.
space tourism. Get your ride. Like this is going to be the best thing ever to spend your $28 million on.
Yeah. I, I just,
Yeah, it's people with too much money right now. Space tourism is it's it's kind of disappointing at this point.
it is. It is. It's just not a thing. I don't know.
I guess
Look,
I think of all the money that's being spent on this kind of stuff, and it's like, what could we have done better with this money? I mean, to think of all the internet talk we've done. Think of all
yeah.
the kids that are going hungry in our country. Um, I think of all these different things. Kids that are in foster homes, kids
Mhm.
that are, just
Yeah.
like let's spend our money in better ways. This is
Yeah.
this is why billionaires are a bad thing for our society. Like it's just it's wasteful spending.
Wasteful spending. Yeah, 100%. And and I, I I can't relate, right? I don't even have millions, right? I have no way of relating. I mean,
Yeah.
it's hard to I don't like to judge. I
Oh,
do, but
I don't mind judging Bezos.
I don't I like doing it in private, not in public. But it's like, yeah, there comes a point where it's like, yeah, you have the money to do whatever you want, but that doesn't mean you should do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Right?
It was kind of funny. So Bezos said, "I hope that whenever I look down through the window of space or through the spaceship, that it gives me perspective on what's important." I'm like, couldn't you have just gone to like a homeless shelter or like a food kitchen or something? Like you could have just like gone down the
Right.
street and like figured out, hey, maybe I should spend this $200 billion on something that's actually going to help society. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I don't have a problem judging this man because he seems so self-absorbed and out of the loop on
Out
normal
of touch.
society at this point.
Yeah.
It's just like, what are you doing, man?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I read stories about him, and I see when he started out, he had perspective, and it just, I guess you make so much money, you just kind of,
Yeah,
you let it go.
you definitely lose it.
Yeah.
Another reason why people probably shouldn't be billionaires.
Yeah.
Millionaires, totally fine. Billionaires, what's the point in all that money?
Yeah.
I like that at least you have billionaires like Bill Gates and Warren Buffett who have signed the Giving Pledge, which is something that Bill Gates and Melinda Gates French, since they're divorced,
Mhm.
they, I think they're the ones who initiated the Giving Pledge, where it's give away at least half of your wealth, either within your lifetime or once you die. Bill Gates is well on his way to doing it. Warren Buffett is, I think, just given away half of his wealth. Not to say that he hasn't made like a ton more, but it's the percentage of his shares
Right.
in the stock that he owns, where he's given away half of all stock that he owns. So stock is worth more, but he's given away half of it. So
Yeah.
the fact that they're giving away that money, and usually to good causes,
Yeah.
it's like those are the billionaires that, as much as I don't like billionaires, it's like those are the people I can get behind. It's like, okay, those people are actually trying to make a difference. They're caring about
Yes.
society. And it's like, okay, now that I have all this money, how can I better society?
Right.
So space race, super great. Not going to help anybody. Giving pledge, yes, helping millions and millions of people, not just in America, but actually around the world. So
And last thing I want to say is that shape of Blue Origin, did that really make it fly better? I
everybody has been giving Bezos the hardest time about the shape of his spaceship that looks like a
yes,
penis.
yes.
Yeah, like why did you choose that shape? That's obviously not the only. Obviously, the rocket as has been designed up to this point is a very phallic design.
Yes.
Um,
Obviously.
but they kind of
Who
took it to the next level where it looks like it's literally a penis.
Yeah.
I don't. It's literally the scene from Austin Powers, where, and I saw that video the other day where it's like everybody's cutting into that looks like a giant tallywhacker,
Yes.
like that kind of thing. It literally looks like that,
It
and
does.
I
It's
well, why?
come on. It's like come on. Come on.
Yeah,
Come on, man.
you like obviously this is a you know how they always talk about, people have fast cars or big trucks are
Compensating.
compensating for something.
Yeah.
He literally is compensating with a rocket that looks like his penis.
Yeah. Yeah. And that'll do it for us tonight.
I'll leave you on that.
So if you like what we talk about, comment, share, like, all the above, YouTube, Facebook, all your
Let
social
us
medias.
leave us a comment on YouTube. Let us know what you thought of the shape of the Blue Origin rocket.
And if you know any great basket weaving websites,
Jeremiah's looking.
I'm looking. I'm on the lookout. All right. Well, thanks for listening. We tried to cut it short a little bit today, but we'll see you next week.
Have a good week. Ta-ta.